All right, let's throw the elevators on, just for the sheer hell of it. I've already put the horizontal stabiliser on, and I've actually torqued the bolts up. They're very tricky to torque. They're only 20 to 25 inch-pounds anyhow, so I wouldn't want to do them any tighter than that. But anyway, they're done. So let's chuck the elevator on. Obviously the elevator can't go straight on where it is. It has to go in on top of the horizontal stabiliser and back. So in here, and back here. That's fairly much how it is. Try and line up the hinge points. It's that one. If we get one bolt in, we've got it beat at that point. Come on, getting that one bolt in, of course, could be a little bit difficult. Oh, there it is, half in. Oops. I'm going to bring it in fairly squarely. That's sort of better. Down a little bit like that, and there's one bolt through some of the hinge segments, and of course the bolts. These are bolts with a hole. They're drilled bolts. So I think it's AN 323 or 24 without the A. The A on the end means an absence of a hole. Weird, but what the hell? It's one way of doing it. This one sort of looks like it wants to be lined up. Yeah, without trying. There's another bolt in there. These have already had the paint cleaned off the hinge segments. Okay, we're our job now. I've decided to put the horizontal stabiliser on properly. And I've also decided to attach the elevators properly. The first thing I've got to do is put these hinge bolts in. I'll put this one in with a skinny washer on each end, and I think if I do it up, it actually thread binds. The threads, it runs out of threads, and I don't want that. This is effectively a hinge pin. This bolt is just a hinge pin. Sure, it stops the elevator from falling off, but it doesn't really matter if this slides all over the place, if this capture bolt just slides wherever it wants to. I don't want that, but I also don't want it completely tight, and I certainly don't want it thread bound. So what I'm going to do is take that nut off and put a thick washer in there. I think that would just be better for all round, and then put the split pin in. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Let's have a go at, you probably didn't see any of that anyway. Let's have a go at doing it. Get it up here where you can see what's going on with any luck. That's as good as I can do for you, I'm sorry. But yeah, that I think it would work better with a one fat washer on this end. The bolts point inwards, all four point inwards. These two point inwards and the other two point this way, which is inwards. You slip that nut off. It's just a normal castellated nut, nothing special about it. Yeah, except castellated nuts need a split pin, otherwise they will rattle off. We don't really want that to happen, it'd probably be embarrassing. There's the washer. I'm using this sawhorse as my workbench. There's a skinny washer, and I just happen to have a brand new fat washer. That can go on instead. There we go. I don't want any end float or no end float to speak of in the bolt, but I don't want it tight either. All right. Well, that looks quite a bit better. I'll just move you around the corner where you might be able to see. Like there, for instance. Ah dear. Well, there we go. The split pin hole in the bolt, yeah, is facing about straight up and down right now. I know you can't see it. Make sure that nut is firm. Yeah, we'll go on to that next castellation. No, maybe that's too firm. Maybe we'll go back one castellation to about there. Yeah. Now the bolt's not tight, not squeezing the hinges. I don't want that. Then all things being equal, we drop the split pin in with the long leg that way. There we go. Now all we have to do is bend the legs of the split pin up, and I'll probably turn the bolt over to do that. And I've got to do the same thing on the next two bolts. So that's it. Not particularly exciting. Matter of fact, hopefully none of it gets exciting. If it does, then we've probably done something wrong. But I'll go ahead and do the other two bolts. They're a little bit more difficult because the nuts are quite close together. But yeah, it's going along quite good. Yeah, those two bolts in the middle near the I guess the rear spar of the fin are a little difficult. You can't see them from here either. Okay, Well, just that they're very close together. There's no room between the two nuts, hardly. But anyway, I'll bring you back if something exciting happens. Okay, here's something I just thought you might be interested in. This is the rod end for the elevator push rod. This is the one that actually joins the elevator, and I was just about to connect it up, and I thought, okay, there's something that you might be interested in. If you take a close look at it, there's a washer here and another one here that's actually touching the ball. Well, they're 1/4 inch washers, but the bolt is 5/16. So what I've done is I've taken these two washers, they're thick 1/4 inch ones. That's a skinny 5/16 next to the bolt head, and also under the nut is the same. I drilled and reamed the 1/4 inch washers out to 5/16, and what that does is it gives you a greater range of movement. Now, particularly on the Renegade, the movement, the way the control system works, when you move the control stick left and right, it also moves this left and right. Yeah, even though this is the elevator. Sure, the elevator moves up and down, no worries. And there's hardly any movement required, but in this particular application, when you move the stick left and right, it also moves the elevator push rod. I guess not left and right, but it'll be clockwise and anti-clockwise. Okay, just I've done this with all the controls actually on my Renegade. The small ones that go out to the ailerons and everything else, I've made smaller. In the case of the ailerons, I've made 1032 washers, I think, to fit drilled out to 1/4 inch. These are 1/4 inch ones that are drilled out to 5/16. But yeah, it's just to give you that extra bit of range. The more you can get, the better. You don't want to install this with it right over one way where it can't do anything. It's got to be in the middle, and it's got to have the most range that you can get out of it. But anyway, it was just I just stumbled across it while I was getting ready to put the empennage on properly. These are the cables. They'll be going on this afternoon most likely. Slowly getting it back together. The engine's sitting on, the bolts are really only done up finger tight. The battery's in, not connected up, but it's in there. I need the weight down the back if I'm going to put the engine on. It worries me that it's going to tip up. Horizontal stabilizer's practically on. The elevator's on. The rudder pedals are connected with the cables. Tailwheel steering's connected up. Getting there bit by bit. So yeah, pretty soon I'll be moving it out and moving it to the other hangar. Then I can start painting the wings. But yeah, pretty good. Going pretty well. Just hope there's no hassles with this thing. But anyway, time will tell. But there we go. All right, we're going to continue assembly. Matter of fact, today we're just, I want to pick some low-hanging fruit. The antenna right here is ready to go on. It's 4 screws. you know, and we've already set up the inside of the turtle deck with the ground plane. Remember, I riveted that on about 100 videos ago. And essentially all we've got to do is screw it on and connect the antenna. So that's low-hanging fruit. Let's grab it while we can. And hopefully I can show you a couple of things along the way. I'll bring you in here where you can see what's going on. This antenna, yeah, came. That should do. I don't need you falling over the top of yourself. It came with its own screws. These look like stainless steel screws to me. I'll try and get one out. There is a gasket under here. The only sort of critical bit, is the star washer. Yeah, under the head of the screw, which is here somewhere, that's just a countersunk screw, it has a star washer. Oh, why do we have the star washer? Maybe there's a lot of vibration and this will fall off. Well, in fact, no. The screw would go into either an anchor nut or into some other, maybe a nylock nut or whatever you've decided to put under there. So it's not to do with it unscrewing. It's actually to do with an electrical bond between the screw and the antenna itself within the countersink, the countersunk hole there. They really want this to bite into the screw and also to bite into the countersink. Carry that electrical conductivity down to the ground plane and connect to the ground plane. Yeah, so it's no big deal, but don't try and put Celastic all over the place. You know, I mean, this is an open cockpit aeroplane. Making sure that this is sealed so that no moisture gets in is a little bit, well, it's right up there with, you know, putting an ashtray on a motorbike. It's probably not really going to cut it. Okay, so let's put those screws in, and then I can take you off the tripod and stick you inside and have a look what's going on. Okay, here's the coax running up and connecting to the bottom of the antenna right there. This silver bit, which if we come back here you'll see the change between the fiberglass here and the ground plane there. If you were watching way back, you would have seen me rivet that on the inside of the turtle deck. But that's it, there's the low-hanging fruit. It's been picked. Screws are all fastened with their star washers in place. So another system gets ticked off. The whole rest of the radio is installed and everything there on the back of the front seat. Everything else is done. So yeah, another system bites the dust. Righto. Hopefully you can see what you need to see. Yeah, I've decided to put the engine on properly for its final time. It won't be coming off again, hopefully. It's already been on once, and the oil lines were all made and run and all the rest of it, so it should just be a matter of putting them back where they need to go. This is the main oil supply line. I think I mentioned it before, but see if I might have to edit that part out of the video. They're just taped off with masking tape, which really would prefer to stay on there. There we go. So this can go in place. There's nothing in there. The bulkhead fitting on the firewall here needs to, it's been taped off as well, needs to come off. Running the oil lines is probably the hardest part. There's the tape all off there. Looks good. I think I need a spinner that's about twice that size. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, that's more better. I'll just have a look in the bulkhead fitting first. Looks pretty good. And it's already tight, it hasn't been tampered with. So this oil line goes right about there somewhere. I'm going to need two hands. Yep, that looks like it started and not cross-threaded or anything. It doesn't feel like it's not cross-threaded. That's much better. We want, you know, nice big curves and things. We don't want sharp corners on a suction pipe. It's got to miss the exhaust, and I want it to miss this oil line here as well. Well, how does that look? It seems to avoid everything. Yeah, beautiful. We can nip this up firm, like about there. I may have to move it later on when I try and put the cowling on, but in the meantime, it's pretty good. What do we got? No, we want 3/4, I think. 11/16. Tell you what, it's a good feeling to be. What the hell's going on here? Oh, of course. Didn't bring the 3/4. Oh no, that's tight. Okay. So, what we've got is we've got the oil tank up there, top there. If you can see where my hand is. The oil cooler on the inside of the firewall. Oh, what are you doing on there? On the inside of the firewall is the oil reservoir. The oil comes down through a fixed, a solid pipe, through this bulkhead fitting into this suction hose and up into the pressure pump, the suction side of the pressure pump. The discharge of the pressure pump goes across to the oil filter, which is on the other side of the aeroplane. We might go and have a look at that next. Here's the oil filter up here. Yeah, this normal Ryco oil filter, which is common garden variety oil filters in Australia, probably in other countries it might be called something else. But yeah, the discharge of the pressure pump comes over and into the oil filter block with this hose, which we'll connect up shortly. Out of the oil filter block via this hose up to here, which is high pressure oil going in to feed the planetary gears. Yeah, the planetary gears are mounted on bushes, on plane bearings, and it needs high pressure oil to feed that. On the subject of oil, I bought the oil this morning. I ordered the oil for the engine. Yeah, I could have bought another house, but no, I decided to buy Ducati oil instead. So that'll come in the next few days, I suppose, and I can start filling it up with oil. There's an oil pressure relief valve on that the filter block, which is this line here, which transmits oil back into the oil tank. Any excess oil pressure will kick back into the oil tank. It's pretty basic. It really is pretty straightforward. But anyway, I'll keep going and I'll follow the line through. You can't see very much there, so there's not much point. I'll bring you back when I've finished. But the next step is to connect that high pressure, either this high pressure to the gearbox or the high pressure one from the pump to the filter housing, to the filter block.
Well, that might do us for this video. I'll close it off now. There's still plenty more to do. I'll continue on with with work at both ends of the fuselage. I'll continue hooking up the engine, and I'll continue on the empennage as well, because there's still a fair bit of work to do on that end. But it's Friday afternoon or Friday evening, and I want to get this video out tonight as usual, and yeah, you know the rules. Try and get your feet off the ground if you can. It might be a little bit wet here this weekend and tomorrow, but I'm sure where you are it'll be perfect. So yeah, let's see if we can fly if we can, and have fun doing it. Catch up with you next week. Bye now.